My name is Billy Geiger, aka Bald Yeti, and welcome to my addition to Dave Weiss's Bonsai Expo. Bonsai in Alaska, the challenges and opportunities. Well, first and foremost, I want to get started by just saying thank you to Dave Weiss for actually asking me to participate in the expo today. I kind of feel like I'm just this small thing over here and up here in Alaska, and to have someone as big as Dave with his channel, as many viewers as he has, and all that he has going on, to personally ask me to be in addition to the show. Dave, I want to thank you. I really appreciate it. You make me feel kind of special. On my for my contribution, my goal is to basically just talk about what it's like to have bonsai up here in Alaska. There's some challenges, but there's also some opportunities. So let's start with where I'm at up here in Alaska. I live in a small town called Chugiak. It's in the municipality of Anchorage, so I'm still relatively close to Anchorage itself. And so if you know where Alaska is on the map, and then, well, if you know where the United States is on the map, and then you know where Alaska is in relation to the United States, and then where Anchorage is in relation to Alaska, now I'm just a couple miles north of that in a town called Chugiak. From my property, I'm kind of on an elevated view because of the mountain range and just the way the coastal lines work here in Alaska. From my property, you can see Knik Arm, and then all the way across to Mount Iliamna. That's the view that's right behind me over here. It's Mount Iliamna. That's all facing towards the west and towards the northwest from my house. So yeah, I do get a pretty good view. I'm also on the just to the north of me is going to be the National Forest. With that National Forest there's not a whole lot of extra population that can build up around me, so I'm kind of stuck in the woods where I'm at here. A lot of the natural wildlife actually stays out there in the wild, so I don't have too many critter problems up here. No mice, no voles, no crazy bug populations of any kind, so everything works out pretty nice here for doing bonsai in Alaska. You don't have to worry about the critters killing your trees and stripping the trunks in the middle of winter because they're starving for food. They got plenty of food where they're at up here, so they don't F with me, you know what I mean? My residence, I'm a little above sea level. As you can see out here from my view, that's Knik Arm directly behind me there. So I'm just a bit above sea level there, but I rise up pretty fast. The cool part about it is that I do get some ocean breezes. So I can get some warm currents coming through here and just have a lovely couple of weeks where it just stays in the upper 50s and 60s, and just beautiful. Then the sun comes out and it gets into the 70s and 80s, and it's just a beautiful day. You do have to be careful about that though, because the ocean breezes, sometimes they're a bit cold. They're not always a nice warm ocean breeze. So they come from all different directions, right? They don't all just come up from the south where the currents are warm. Some of them are coming across Siberia, some of them are coming down from the North Pole. So it just depends on which breeze catches us. It depends on how the weather's going to go for that month or two, or a week or two, depending. The cardinal directions of my house. This is one that's kind of it's a bit about what I have to worry about with bonsai. It's not necessarily a challenge; it's an opportunity, but you got to know how to take full advantage of it. So, if you look at my house on a map, you'll see that my front door, my driveway faces is the north side of my house. My front door faces to the towards the east, and my back door faces towards the west. But it's more of a southwest. So this is my main set of bonsai benches. They are pretty much facing south for the most part. But this one's pretty much facing south. If I turn it around here, it's facing south across there, so it gets sun. It's kind of a gray, cloudy day today. Hopefully I can get this in the picture here. The sun basically travels right across the sky, right across there. So it gets all day sun, and then in the evening it starts getting some dappled sun as it crosses through those trees and then disappears before it goes back to the north. In the mornings, I got these birch trees sitting right here, so it doesn't really get a whole lot of direct sun in the morning, but that's the sun right there. It's right directly above there. I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning right now. So it gets some speckled light in the morning, and then by late morning, early afternoon, it's getting direct sunlight all the way through there. Right behind those trees there is that mountaintop, so spring and fall, that gets in the way of me getting some direct sun. And then you can see that other mountaintop over there just on the other side of the house. That prevents me from getting sunlight in the wintertime. So here we are on the south side of my yard, transitioned over and looking back towards the north. This is the northwest where the sun comes, northeast where the sun comes up and travels along this portion of the sky here. Getting some dappled light right there. And then some direct light again in the afternoon all the way through the evening where it sets again in the northwest. Just to show you the kind of daylight I actually do get, this is summer solstice right at midnight, facing towards the northwest now. And you can see there's just a glimmer of sun back there in the background, still turning things orange. And now we're going back towards the west again. Well, now we're going towards the west. And you can see I do have quite a bit of daylight. It does get dark around 1 to 3, but it's still pretty ambient. My growing season is typically between, I don't know, the trees here, they start to bud out during May, I guess, sometime around May, probably mid-May, and then all of a sudden, everything goes from being monochromatic around here to there's just a splash of green as all the birch trees start, their buds start to break. That's typical. So the natural trees will start budding out in May, then the other trees will start budding out in June. I can't really get my trees outside until late June, or early June, I guess, is when I can really get my trees outside. There is still a chance of frost in June, but I take the chance. The temperatures do get down to the upper 30s in June still. Upper 30 degrees Fahrenheit, lower 40s. But here I am in late June, and the temperature, I think last night was 42 degrees Fahrenheit, 42 degrees at night. We got up to 60 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, which to us is just a beautiful day. Typically by October I have my first snow on the ground, and that's going to last all the way until March, April of the next year. I won't be walking on the ground. I won't even see the earth again after October until April of the next year. That snow comes in and it covers the ground, and it doesn't disappear. It just keeps building and building and building. You use that snow to try to help insulate your trees, keep them in their grow boxes, to try to insulate them from the fluctuations, the drastic drops, and the rises as well when a Chinook blows in. But the short growing season is a bit of a challenge. Some trees, once you prune them once, there's just not enough growing season left to have them recover properly, and then you kind of just waste a year of growth, and you're going to get some dieback, and dang, right? For example, with my birch trees, I have that problem quite a bit. I try not to prune them until right around the 1st of July. Knowing that once July hits, I don't know what I'm going to get, right? I can have a really hot season, and if I'm adding water to the trees, then they grow just fine. But I could have a very cool July and a cool August, and very wet and rainy, and sometimes things just won't bud out again. They'll just sit there dormant or just partially popped out, but they won't ever actually push. Those ones will usually die off in the winter and have to hope that it buds back again. July and August are pretty much my biggest two growing seasons. June is a good is what I would call my spring. July and August are my growing seasons, and then in September things are definitely shutting down. So yeah, the growing season is relatively short, 4 months at the max, um, and that part is kind of a challenge for a lot of my trees. Things I do have to worry about moose though. Moose can be an issue. They go wherever they want to go.
What's up, little buddy?
They especially love apple
Don't
trees,
kick that.
and they come back for the apples
Didn't do
too.
anything to you.
They can get drunk, especially when they're eating crab apples. They can get drunk off of crab apples. Um,
That's my apple tree. Get away.
Typically, if you put some sort of man-made barrier so that it's difficult for the moose to get to, they're fairly lazy. So if they have to put effort into getting to your stuff, then
Hey,
they're not going to bother.
Hey.
For the most part, if it looks man-made, they walk away from it. But if it's an apple tree, they'll just come walking in and take it. They're usually not too aggressive. You just kind of shoo them off a little bit. They stand their ground, you stand yours. Um, yeah, you do have to be cautious, of course. You don't want to be silly around them. Common sense usually prevails. Another issue that I have here is the cold nights. Even in the middle of the growing season, sometimes the nights can get down to 40, 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And that can be in the middle of July, that can be in the middle of August, or the beginning of August. The nighttime temperatures, just because of the way the winds blow in off the ocean, once the sun is gone, the winds can cool off pretty quickly. For most of my trees, it's not a problem, but when it comes to the tropical trees, it is a problem, and the Mediterranean trees, it is a problem. Even some of my succulents, I have to keep them protected. They just get too much rain, too much cool temperatures, too many cool breezes, and it definitely affects them on their ability to grow. The last challenge that I have here is going to be the climate zone. Here in Chugiak, on where I'm at, well, on the coastline of where I'm at here, it's all considered a zone 4 here. That means I get my negative temperatures down to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit to negative 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, Now, climate zone, the climate zone does the best it can do to try to give you an idea of where things will grow and where things won't grow. But the climate zone isn't perfect. Nothing is, right? So one of the things that I've discovered then when it comes to climate zones is that it is a good gauge of how cold that tree can get. However, it's not just about how cold it can get, it's a little more along the lines of how long it can be that cold. When the trees can't wake up or can't get a little bit warmer, they stay actually frozen and compact for seven stinking months. Um, some trees can do that, some trees can't. Some trees will still wake up without an issue. Some trees, a little flicker of life goes out in the middle of winter at some point. I don't know. Learn that some things that say they'll grow in a zone 4 doesn't grow in a zone 4. In reality, you kind of have to live there and figure it out before you start putting trees inside and outside. I can have some trees growing in my yard here that are zone 5 and zone 6. I just have to take special care in the wintertime. I don't leave those trees outside all winter. Zone 4 trees and zone 5 trees and zone 6 trees I'll typically leave outside all the way through maybe December. Things are usually well frozen by then, and then I'll bring it back into my Arctic entryway, where the Arctic entryway is staying really close to 30 degrees, 35 degrees, so that those things so that those plants can keep their winter dormancy. I don't keep my Arctic entryway frozen all winter long. I typically keep it frozen until about winter solstice. Maybe not always winter solstice, maybe a little bit later into January, but late January, February, and early March are a lot of times the coldest times of the year here. That's when we do get our negative 30s. And it gets drastically and sharply cold during that time. So during that time, I definitely keep my Arctic entryway heated so that things can actually start to wake up a little bit and actually have a nice early spring. So to sum things up, my challenges and opportunities aren't much different than most anybody else who grows their trees in a little bit more of a northern climate. I find if I stick to trees that are actually meant to grow in my area, things like the spirea and the junipers here, and birch trees and smoke trees a little on the edge, we're going to find out. If I stick to trees that actually do grow in my area, it's a lot more rewarding. There's a lot more successes and a lot less frustrations. If I go to trees that don't grow in my area, there's a lot more challenges, and you have to take advantage of whatever you can. Arctic entryways, grow tents, portable outside greenhouses, to try to overcome the challenges of keeping those trees alive. The season is short, but as long as you take advantage of the time you got, you can have a pretty successful bonsai bench and bonsai growing seasons. So again, thanks to DW. Really appreciate you putting on this Bonsai Expo, and then really do appreciate you inviting me to be a part of it. I hope people enjoyed learning a little bit about what it's like to do bonsai in Alaska. There's a lot of opportunities here, and it's a lot of fun and pretty rewarding to go through the process. If anybody would like to see the process as I go through it, please check out my channel, Bald Yeti. Look at my playlist. So there's different trees that I have. You can watch them from as early as I started the video until current. I try to make every trip around the sun a new chapter, starting at different points throughout the year, so that there's always some content to be coming out. So if any of that sounds appealing to you at all, please go ahead and check out my channel. And if you do, I'll be back when I got more to show you.